Good afternoon, everybody. How are you today? Hey,
Hello,
Johnny.
Maria.
Nice to see you. You are on mute.
Yes. Hey,
Okay.
how are you?
Wonderful. As you can see, I'm in a spirit plane.
I see that. I see. I was. What page is that?
Hey, I'm always representing the brand. Hello, Steve. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Seeing the rest of the crew here.
Nice. Thanks for joining. Faisal. Hello.
Hello there.
How
Are
are
you
you?
traveling?
I'm always traveling. See. If you are not aware, I work for Spirit Airlines. That's
Oh,
why
really?
that's.
Okay.
I'm always representing the brand, especially in these tough times, right?
Yep.
So for those of you that have joined lately and have not had the pleasure of being in one of our meetings, I usually ask from everybody that joins our meetings to please share your camera, turn on your camera. Hey, Michael, good to see you.
You too. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Kim, welcome. And the reason why I asked to turn on the camera is ideally, I would do this in person. I mean, that's the whole reason for starting the chapter, so we can see each other and start relationships here. And it is difficult when now everything had to go online and you can see people and then people are hiding because they are not showing the camera. So the more realistic that we can do this, the better.
Oh, sorry, everyone. This is Lori. I won't be able to share my camera. My bandwidth just simply will not support it. So I apologize.
Understood. Understood. I understand there are limitations, but whoever can, I invite you to share your camera and show us your beautiful face. So let's give a couple of more minutes for folks to join. And hello, Maria, how are you?
Good, and you? This is the
Wonderful.
first time that I'm joining this meeting, so.
Yeah, I remember that. I am glad to see that you have finally been able to join us.
Yes.
Welcome to this great community of industrial engineers in Miami. And not only industrial engineers, but people that love what we do and support what we do.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay, we keep seeing people joining. I think they did not hear me when I say I invite everybody to share their video and show us your beautiful faces. So we can make this as interactive as possible.
Yeah.
So we have Jennifer, Jim, Leo, join us. Good to see you people. Welcome, Leo. So before we get started, and since I'm showing here my face, I would also like to show this with you. Let me remove my background here so you can see this better. Okay, here we go. So what I want to share with you is that the IISC Greater Miami chapter has recently won 2 awards. We won the Gold Chapter Award, and we also won the Most Innovative Chapter in the year, in the region, I'm sorry. So I wanted to share this.
That's cool.
So
congratulations, Maria.
Very nice. Congratulations. Yes.
Thank you. And this is for all of you, because again, I tell my team all the time, I can't do this by myself. And I'm not doing it only for myself. We are a community, aren't we?
Yes.
So thank you all for joining us and helping us do this together. And with that, I would like to pass it to Luis. So we start the talk for today and bring you this amazing conversation with my all-time friend, Johnny.
So how's it going, guys?
Ooh.
Yep. We're right next to each other, so we need to be sure we got the connection right. So how's it going? Guys excited?
Can't wait to get started.
Great. So the idea tonight is that we're gonna have a chat with our good friend, Johnny Rojas. Johnny is one of our partners here at Epic, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about him in a second. And the idea is that this is to be a fireside chat. So it's not only about us or him talking, and it's not a lecture as much as it is a chat. So your participation is welcome. I'll be always checking chat. If anybody's feeling they're not being able to put their points out, just let me know in chat, and I'll make sure to point it out to Johnny. So let me tell you a little bit about Johnny. Johnny is a very experienced guy on everything related to Lean Six Sigma. He's an industrial engineer. He was a part of the chapter board a few years ago. He's a facilitator, black belt, teacher, consultant, veteran. He's the whole package. So if anybody there is single, this is a good guy for you. So without further ado, let me give the word to Mr. Johnny Rojas.
Okay, first of all, it looked like a dating site commercial opening. It was really kind of weird, but anyway. And also the thing about the experience is a crazy thing because everybody wants it, but the consequences of experience, well, not everybody's looking forward to them, right? Because experience comes with, like, when they say you got 30 years experience, it's like, damn, that's a lot. But anyway, it's been a lot of years working on it. And well, like Luis was saying, it's been almost more than 20 years experience right now in all what it is process improvement. We perform Lean and Six Sigma project. Well, as Epic, we perform Lean and Six Sigma project for the last 15 years in multiple types of industries. Everything from aviation, where Maria Carolina is sitting at, all the way to hospitals, going through pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, all types of service industries in South Florida. And also, not only have we worked in South Florida, but we also have the pleasure to work overseas. Worked a lot in the Caribbean and a lot in South America, especially in Colombia. So, you know, especially the Caribbean one was a very hard project, but, you know, we made the best out of it. But just trying to get back into topic because it seems like it's a very interesting thing, right? Let me start. Like Luis was saying, this is a conversation. This is not a lecture, or we don't have a presentation for you or anything. What we do have is a lot of topics and a lot of questions, right? For example, let's see how we could do this, because this is part of the learning as well. How many of you guys used to run meetings on a high frequency, at a high frequency base? How many of you guys used to run daily meetings before, and they were all presential? Everybody see a nod of the head, a head, show of heads, got it. Perfect. And how were those meetings? You think they were very effective? Maria Carolina?
It varies like everything else in life, right?
I think you're in
No.
You're in mute?
No.
She's in mute?
No.
Okay, now I hear.
Okay. Yeah, no, it varies like everything else in life. And the more that you do it, the more that you know what works and what doesn't. But if we can get shortcuts to not experience all of those things that don't work and hear it from somebody that has 30 years of experience, I think we all have our ears very open.
No, okay. Because we're going to talk about is very interesting. I mean, we used to, I mean, the way we implement Lean and Six Sigma methodologies is through meetings, right? So
Yes.
we had our presidential meetings where we believe that they were very effective, correct?
Yep.
Flies out. Okay. Oh yeah. See,
Yes.
This is interesting. See, this is very interesting. This is how we started.
Yeah,
So-
I totally agree with Maria. I mean, some meetings are effective, some meetings are not. So with time you learn, right? So sometimes you figure out that you just waste your time on meetings. So you have to figure out something else.
Okay, so we know that presidential meetings still are difficult, right? Even though
Right.
there's a couple of things, but they're still difficult. Now,
Yeah,
I
in
imagine.
general,
Excuse me.
yeah, in general, most of the meetings in academia are effective. In industry, sometimes because of the variability in the projects and things like that, sometimes you have meetings all the day and you didn't get anything out of it. But in academia, usually research projects and things like that, so mostly effective.
Is a little bit different. Yes. And somebody raised their hand. Maria Lopez.
Yes, I have meetings every day because I have a team of 18 people. I think that what it's important is to know your audience. Okay, you have to know your audience. That's the only way that you're going to be able to tell your message. And that's something that I have been learning with experience, is that knowing your audience and your topic will help you in any meeting. So
Perfect. Now I understand. I imagine that for all of us, or for the majority of us, well, for me it did. After March of this year, a lot of things changed, right?
yes.
Mhm.
A lot of things changed. One of the things that changed, and it happened to us, I don't know if it happened to you guys the same way. For us, it happened from one day to another. The day before, I don't know, I forgot what day, specifically in March, we were in a boardroom, we were sitting down, we were facilitating our meeting, everything was great. After we came back the next day, it was like, hey, no more presidential meetings, meetings are eliminated. From now on, everybody use this. So since we kept working, we have several customers. Well, some customers said we got Zoom. The other guy said we use WebEx. Some people said we use Teams. And all of a sudden, we got involved in this virtual world where we might have used it sometimes before in a very limited way, because it wasn't the main tool that we used, because ours was presential, right? And now all of a sudden, we're just sitting in front of a screen and trying to do the same type of meetings that we had when we were presential, when we were on site, right? And what we noticed, it was an easy conclusion, but it was very, very, very different, correct? Maria Carolina, have a question?
No, I have a comment. I
Go.
had like a similar experience, and I'll share with you, given that you are a Six Sigma instructor. So am I for my company. And theoretically, we were going to do a Six Sigma training for our folks on 2 days. And then from one day to the next, well, no more in-person training. Can you do the same in-person training for 2 days, 16 hours online? Definitely not.
It's a different thing. So, hi Marco, how are you? Long time don't see. How have you been? You on mute?
Good. How are you?
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but it's good to see you.
Good to see you. Okay, so that's perfect. See, so I don't know if it happened to you guys, but the same thing that happened to Carolina happened to us. From all of a sudden, they told us, hey, you're going virtual. Everything is being done on this. These are all
Bye.
tools that they throw at us. And we're like, okay, let's go for it. Now, question before we started, has anybody received a formal training or a conference or something on using having a visual effective meeting? Maria, you did?
What from whom? From you?
No, from anybody. Just from anybody. Before you started.
Yeah, well,
Like,
let me tell
my
you,
situation
in my company, we're going to have the sales meeting 3 days. And we're going to supposed to be in Austin, are going to be visual now. So that's going to be an experience.
It is. And that's why the reason of my question. How many of you guys have received like a training, like saying, hey, this is the best way, or this is the way that you do effective meetings online. This is the way you use the video. This is one of the best tools to use. Has anybody received that information?
No.
Yeah, I'm Jennifer here. I'm at the Medical University of South Carolina, and we was in an uproar because we had a whole bunch of doctors, nurses, pharmacists, everybody was like, okay, no, nobody can go on campus, and now what we're gonna do. So our College of Health Professions had a bunch of their IT instructors. They went through a course, and then they put it out to a lot of our adjunct faculty and professors that's on campus. And so we had a 5-day training, 2 hours a day of teaching us how to use Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and Hangout. And so, so that one's a little different, but they was like, oh yeah, all the students like Hangout. So they were trying to get on the platforms that the students, you know, the younger crowd would understand, and we older crowd didn't. And so it was quite a challenge, even to the point where to figure out, well, where's my camera on my laptop so I'll know what I'm supposed to be looking at. So it was an exciting week, but it was a big learning curve for us.
Yeah.
And how effective has that training been, Jennifer?
It's been really good. So you have to do a lot of practicing I had to do on my own. Once we got into Zoom, that's the platform that we've been using. And I just went and started putting sessions on by myself just to get my lighting correct, and so to make sure your light's in front of you and not behind you, so you don't have like I got my ceiling fan on now so you can see it behind me. So like, how do you get into the virtual rooms? And so it was just a lot of trial and error.
So it was a lot of technical training regarding Zoom, or did you guys talk also about the process of the meeting itself?
Well, at first technical, and then everybody, you know, according to what you were teaching, you really had to try to figure out what are you going to do on yourself. Because I do our white belt, yellow belt, and green belt training. And so the only session that I had that was coming up was with one of my health informatics class for yellow belt training class for IT. And so really trying to figure out, I'm not going to be able to do my 8-hour training online. It's not going to be the same thing. The interaction's not going to be the same. Trying to break teams apart in the breakout rooms. And so it was a lot of technical things we had to learn first. And really what I did was try to really cut half of my training in half, because it's just a different animal when you're doing it online versus in the live classroom.
Perfect. See? So, but most of us, I mean, from what I see, most of us haven't received that type of training, right? I don't see. So hopefully Jennifer can help us out, because this is the objective of this discussion. Absolutely.
That's why we're here.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's try to see. I mean, I can see a very smart people in my screen. I used to like to say this in person because it was always better in person, but we got great enough people. Let's see if we can come up with some guidelines or something that could help us out in our next Zoom or WebEx or Hangout meeting that we have. And let's see if we can come up with some strict points that we can use that will make our meetings on video way more effective. Okay? Now, based on that, I have a question, and Maria Carolina put it out as soon as we started, and was the use of the video camera, right? Now, I have a question about this, because fortunately, I had the pleasure to not only deal with regular meetings, but also had the opportunity to teach using online for like the first time in a while. We didn't go online before all of our courses, because we also teach at FIU. We provide the green belt and the black belt certifications at FIU. We designed those courses. So we were very strong in our presential. You know, when we're present, we're in class, we were very strong. But now they put us we're limited to a screen, right? So we found out that there's two different types of settings. One setting is like the class setting. There's one type of setting that you have, which have different conditions. We found out that there might be different conditions for like a non-class setting, but we also have the setting for a business meeting, a regular meeting at your job, at your work. So let's talk about the first one. Let's say a meeting at work, and let's take it back to the video. What do you guys think? Is it important to have the video on? Would you have like a work meeting going on? And those are things I've seen a lot of companies that have, a lot of people that have 8-9 hours straight of meetings, one meeting after the other. And one of my questions always when we have these meetings that some people have the camera off, some people have the camera on. Many times it's for many different reasons that they have it off. It could be technical, it could be the bandwidth. There's many reasons. But if we were in a setting of a work meeting, do you guys think it's important to have the camera on?
Yes, it is.
Johnny, Marco here, and I want to say that it takes one person to break the ice and then the others follow. And I particularly start my meetings opening video right away because I know that if I do it, it triggers others to do it. There's some people that they don't, like it regardless of reasons. Some of those reasons might be very valid reasons, so I don't even question those. But I just think that if you don't make the effort to go on video, you lose the opportunity to connect, to look at the person, face to face, to get that communication that goes beyond just the words or just the text on an email or even on a cell phone text. So it's just kind of like doing it.
So Marco, you get a lot of feedback when you got the video screen.
Yes.
Right? Do we all agree on that?
Yes.
And that's interesting.
I totally agree with having your camera on, but when you gave the scenario of having so many meetings back to back to back, you have to realize people are at home and it's other things going on. Because I can tell you right now, when I first came on, I didn't have my video on. And it's like, cut your video on. I was like, I'm putting my grandbaby to sleep. And like, soon as I put him to sleep, then I put my video on. And so, and two, I know if I'm in a meeting, I understand if people want to eat their lunch, and I don't want to see you chewing on the camera. So if you're eating, put your screen up. So people have different things going on. I think if you understand why they don't have it on right at the moment, then okay, you can cut it on if you want to.
I think that. Pardon.
Oh, but who's there, Maria? Maria?
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I think that I'm going back to what is the audience, because I remember back in March, my first 2 weeks with my team, they didn't open up the camera and it didn't feel good. Okay, the team was, we had my team is very nice. It has a lot, we have a lot of, the relationship between us is very good, and it didn't feel the same. So as soon as we started everybody opened up the camera, it was like going back to the office. Now, I understand what you're saying, Jennifer, about things that are going on in the house. So what we do is that during the meetings, which is 2 hours for just the team, we allow a little bit of flexibility of what's going on in the house. Like if the kids come and they say hi, that's fine. It's a little bit of flexibility just for everybody that we know that are at home. But again, that's going back to who's your audience, because at the same time, we have other meetings that are very formal. Mm-hmm. But so that's what we do. But I think that it's a plus to have the video open.
Maria Carolina was going to say something. Did you have your hand raised?
Yes. Okay. So it's interesting what Maria just pointed out. I had a little bit of a different situation in my case, because everybody who I was training that I was supposed to train in person 2 days, I had to train them virtually, and I didn't know any of these people. So I had to do 3 sessions of 10 days training people I have never ever seen in my life. And trust me, from an instructor standpoint, standing there and just talking to myself for 2 hours without seeing nobody, my God, that will even put me to sleep myself. So that's one of the reasons why I told everybody that came to my class, at least online, is the first thing, is the same first thing I did over here in this meeting. Turn on your video. Make this as real as possible. Ideally, we would do it in a different setting, right? But given that these are the conditions that we are given, let's make the best out of it. And that starts with that personal connection that is established when you can see the other person.
Okay, perfect. So just to summarize the two-second summary right here. So we see the benefits of having the video on. We get that feedback. We get that connection with the person. We see the reactions, right? Maybe, and we feel a more closer connection than just staring at a microphone with a little slash on the screen. Correct?
Yes,
so that's
that's
we
the
on
word.
that. We on that on the one of the that some of the advantages of the video. We can say that, right? Okay. Now, I would like to see somebody that that agrees that you don't need the video. Does anybody think that we don't need the video? That it could be it could be effective without the video? Anybody? Show of hands. They could just jump in.
Anybody that have the camera off?
Or the guys that have the camera off. No, I mean,
Good point.
you know, because I understand, but I'm really curious about that. And for example, in a business meeting setting, you guys said that it's important to have the camera on because of all these things. I want to see somebody that has the counter argument and say it's not necessary to have the camera. So Alitza, Tiv, Ivan.
As Jennifer said, there's certain instances where it'd be uncomfortable to have the camera on. If you're eating, if you're drinking. Do you have to have everybody's camera on? I don't think so. Do you have to have some of them on? Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Now, Chris, now there's a question. Let's play devil's advocate here, right? We're in a business meeting. There's a work meeting between 8 and 12 o'clock in the morning, wherever the meetings happen. And supposedly we're on work time.
Yep.
Do you guys think it should be mandatory to have the video on? Understanding that it's a pre-scheduled meeting. Well, I'm assuming, you know, we schedule the meeting and everybody goes on.
Yeah.
And you know,
in that circumstance, yeah, I would want to have the video on.
Right? Maybe you have more time to prepare, maybe have a setting. And the other thing that I agree with Maria, I don't know if everybody does, is having that little flexibility. The kids will come on the video once in a while. Because you have toddlers, and it happened to me many times. And, you know, at very intense points of the meetings, the toddler comes in, you know, and it's a little girl. I mean, what can you do? Everybody's melted. The meeting stops for a couple of seconds, and you have to recoup. I mean, right? So I think you do have to allow that flexibility. But let's see if we can get to a consensus. So with that business setting, with a scheduled meeting, do we say that we should have that camera on? Leo had a comment? Leo?
I mean, I find during the use of my meetings that the context of the meeting really dictates, I think, whether you should or should not have the camera on. For all of the meetings that I schedule, that are scheduled meetings or our daily leadership meetings or meetings with my team, I usually require them to have the camera on so that we get that feedback. But from time to time, if there's spontaneity in those meetings, I have a question, I need to speak with someone, we're resolving an issue, and I just happen to call them on Zoom, I really don't feel comfortable forcing them or asking them to put the video on. So it really, to me, depends on whether it's something scheduled, do they know? Because, you know, when it comes to whether you're eating or drinking, you know, if you have a scheduled meeting, work around that, right? I'm not going to eat right when I know I have a meeting coming, if I have a window of time to do that before or after. But there are times where you just have to, you know, with that spontaneity, call someone. And at that time, I don't know if it's really important or not to have that video connection.
Perfect. Thanks, Leo. I've been told Sabrina, it's online.
Yes.
Yes.
Sabrina is connected, but with her video off.
Oh, I don't see it here. So yes. What is the comment, Sabrina? Hello?
That after business hours, it's appropriate to have camera.
Do you guys hear Luis? Go ahead, Luis.
That after business hours, it's okay to have the camera off.
You heard that?
Yes.
Everybody hear that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so have a small consensus. Can we agree that if it's a scheduled business meeting, let's say on a regular business days, 8 to 5, we're on there as a schedule, we should have the camera on and the setting should be somewhat prepared for that specific meeting. Correct? And it will help a lot with the feedback and everything else. Perfect. Now I have another question.
Hey, look, I'd like to make a comment.
Oh, yes, Mike.
Don't mind.
Absolutely.
Just a couple of perspectives. I've probably been using online video options for maybe 10 years. Back when I worked for FedEx, we used, I think it was Cisco WebEx systems. And then when I volunteered for IISE at the regional level, national level, we used GoToMeeting, and I had all of my team members on because it tremendously improved the effort and work that we were doing from volunteers for them to know they were going to be on a face-to-face meeting once a month going through their stuff versus just on a phone call. But, you know, but 10 years ago, the videos didn't even exist. So did we survive without them? Absolutely. You know, we had conference calls. There's an awesome YouTube video if you want to have some laughter. I think it's called something like Conference Call in Real Life. You've probably seen it, where, you know, you see it in real life, but it's like how life was before video conferencing. But, you know, I think there's been some great comments made. The benefit of video conferencing is what we're seeing here, right? I can see you face to face here. So I can see if you're receiving what I'm talking about. You know, there's a great conversation. In fact, I can see Leo's Stormtrooper, which I love. I'm gonna pin his video and take a picture of it because I want to keep that. I want a real one just like that. But it's much more interactive, right? In a large setting where you're meeting, let's say you're a VP and you're giving, you know, a town hall meeting, it's probably not appropriate to have 100 or 200 people, you know, on a call in Zoom. It's pretty challenging. I was in an event maybe 2 months ago where there were 2,000 people on. They had broken it up into like 10 different Zoom meetings. So they had like 200 people per Zoom meeting. But you could see the conference speaker, because of COVID, he was on stage and he had monitors all across, you know, and you could see them. And even that was a bit challenging, but it was, you know, they did it because it was for the experience so that you could do the breakout groups and people could interact. You know, so I think you just have to look at the return on investment on what is it I want to accomplish and how do we make it work? I mean, I've seen some people say, you know, when the dog barks or the kid walks in, it's okay. You just go hashtag working from home, you know, and it's it. You know, we all understand those things happen. You try to control it as best you can.
Exactly.
I worked for Amazon and they brought dogs to the office when I was there in person. So there were dogs barking anyway. So it really didn't matter. Right. So, you know, it's interesting. After hours, the one comment there is that's great if you're all in the same time zone, roughly. You know, most of my career, I've had people working for me in Europe or China or Asia, you know, so there is really no after hours because it's always somebody's time zone. So it's another thing to consider, right? So anyway, this is a great conversation. Love the topic.
No, great, because we're going to continue because I got another twist. And that's like with working meetings, it's fine, I understand. Because personally, I also have a problem with video. I never like, you know, they put 5 pounds on my face, but that's fine, right? So I always had that problem with the videos. I was very reluctant to it. Even that I was offered to film my classes, and I was always saying, no. You know, until they they find the right camera for me. They're still looking for it. But I'm
the skinny camera.
So this camera doesn't add 5 pounds. Is that what you're telling us?
Oh, this one it's horrible. I'm gonna change my get a really high, a very different type of camera, right? But it will happen. So I'm working on that. That will happen. Because I see the way we're going, I'm gonna be on camera many times, so I'm trying to avoid it.
I think that camera's at the gym. Yeah.
But that doesn't work. You gotta be too early in the morning. But anyway, I'm gonna work on that one. I can see Coach Fizz on the back. Coach Foz. Okay. Perfect. That's a hint. Great stuff.
Yeah,
Dave, got a comment, Dave?
Yeah, this is Dave. I wanted to add something. The videos, they're good, but they shouldn't dominate the presentation. Maybe you would have a an agenda or something up there, and then the video would be a strip of the people that are across the top. But you would have something else that we'd focus on except the talking heads. And I attended a class called it was NetSpeed Learning. It was virtual facilitation training certification out of Seattle. And a gal named Cynthia Clay runs it. She's run it for, probably 10 years. Really, really good. But she says that you should engage the audience deliberately every 3 minutes, no fewer than 3 minutes, so that you'll do a poll or you'll do something that will involve the participants every 3 minutes and not fail. And then on this one, we could see our pictures, but they would be as a strip across the top or down the side, and you would have an agenda so people would know what the topic is. So it wouldn't be the faces dominating, the call. It would be something else. So you'd have, and Michael knows how to do this because he gave a really good one with IISC the other day on his keynote. But you have something else that's beyond just the talking heads, if possible.
Perfect.
And sorry to
go ahead.
To interrupt, but does anyone have an opinion versus the use of cameras when you're in a meeting versus an instruction? Because I find that when I'm in a meeting, I like to see everyone's reaction and everyone's face. But when I'm instructing a class, I prefer that to only see their video when they're asking a question, because I find it distracting for me when I'm instructing to see everyone's video and everyone moving around and what they're doing, and their dog shows up and this and that. So I prefer, if you have a question, yes, please, I want to see your video when you're asking the question so that we can have that conversation. But during the regular course of the instruction, I prefer to have everyone's camera off. Does anyone have any opinion on that?
I do.
Yep, perfect. Maria Carolina, go ahead.
I do. I personally prefer having the camera on. And the reason why I say that is because you can see if you are boring them to death, and probably you need to change the dynamics of your teaching to wake them up.
Check every 3 minutes, right? Check in.
I'm
See how
telling
they're
you,
doing.
I saw so many people yawning, getting like this, like that. I wouldn't have been able to see that if they had not turned on their video. And when I see that, that's when it tells me, okay, stop talking so much theory and let's do something fun to wake them up.
Yeah, and Leo, you can control the view. So if you change it to speaker view, you only see me big when I'm talking. So you don't have to see everybody in a grid all the time. So that sometimes helps. So you're not actually being distracted by those that aren't speaking.
Perfect. Luis was going to say something?
Yeah, I'm coming this way just so.
What happened with the social distancing?
Oh, wait.
So one of the things that we do, and I know that's not viable for everyone, but what we usually do is, like you saw, we're pretty much next to each other. So we usually have one person facilitating, so watching the camera, making sure they don't get bored, making sure that if they have a question, they listen to, and the other person here where Johnny's sitting, teaching. So we can have the best of both worlds. I know it's not viable for everyone, but whomever have that chance, I think that this has been a good practice that we have on the Greenbelt, where one is focusing on the material and the other one is focusing on the audience and making sure that everybody's heard.
See, that was an excellent point, and thank you, Dave and Leo, for leading me into that section. And we also learned what Luis was saying. One thing is a meeting environment where, like Leo said, that, hey, maybe I want to have my team. It's a smaller group, right? Usually the meetings with your personal teams might be 4, 5, 6 people max, right? That's your team working together. You're not going to have 20 or 30 participants. within that meeting. So that's one type of setting. But the other one is training. Now you're gonna have 30, 40 people in there, and maybe I don't wanna put my camera on, right? And I'm gonna be like the real devil's advocate right here. I say I pay for a training course, right? And it's at 7 o'clock at night, and I really don't wanna have my camera on because whatever reason, I'm more relaxed, I'm maybe sitting in my bed, my pajamas, and I don't wanna show my camera. I want that little privacy. I mean, in those conditions, would it be acceptable not to have the camera on? I mean, I'm paying for the course. I'm assuming that I could take the course. If I don't have to go, I don't have to take it presently. I have the right to, stay in my bed or wherever I want to take it from the bathroom or whatever place in the house I want to do, without having the need for my camera. Is that correct? Or am I being like not very cooperative? But I'm saying, if I'm in my home and I've got a 7 o'clock at night meet class and I just want to take my class in my bedroom or outside in the patio, I could do it. I mean, should the instructor tell me to turn on the camera?
I think they can invite you to turn on your camera, but it's your decision whether you want to turn it on or not, and it should be respected.
Yeah, Maria, I agree with that. You can just ask. Everybody's going to make their own decisions on what they're going to do. I know I was in a ACHE session last week, and they were on West Coast time, and I'm on the East Coast, and so I was in my pajamas, so I did not cut my camera on because it was time for me to go to bed, but they was just getting off of work, and so
Absolutely. See, that's what I'm saying. So let's see if we can reach a consensus here. I know it's very quick. We don't have a lot of topics, but can we say if it's a scheduled business meeting at a specific time, we should be ready? And if it's a small group, we should be able to put as facilitators or as leading the meeting, we could request the people to use the video. But if it's a training course, a lot larger audience, we could leave that the option to each participant. And after this question, it's going to lead me to a different question that we're experiencing right now. But I'll leave that for the next topic. So, Maria Carolina, I can see that you really want to say something here.
Oh, no.
Okay. Bad interpretation, see? Can we say that that's true? Can we say that in a formal business setting, at a pre-scheduled meeting, we could request. There you go, see? That's excellent. I got the thumbs up. Perfect. So can we say
Michael wants to say something.
Yes, Michael.
I did want to have a comment about the video. I just started a mentor relationship with someone through IISE, and he asked how he wanted to communicate either through LinkedIn or over email. And I requested to have a phone call or over Zoom just because I prefer to have that connection. So I'm very partial to having the video on because I like to see the person I'm talking to and have it be more of a conversation rather than a webinar. But I also wanted to ask, there were a couple comments about eating or drinking on a call, and I was wondering if my drinking is bothering or distracting anyone.
That's a good question. I haven't even noticed it, to tell the truth, Michael.
It's a good sign.
Michael, I noticed, but it's not distracting.
Okay, thank you.
I think it was Chris or Dave that made the point. You may have so many people online that you don't really know who you can't pay attention to everybody. I got I don't know how many people, 12, 50 people on my screen, so I can't focus on one person. Luis is telling me somebody had their hands up. Marco, there you go, sir.
I want to say that my thought process is, that one should act as if one is in a regular meeting in person. I mean, a few people actually eat in front of others during regular meetings, unless it's a brown bag session. And then when it comes to water, I think it is perfectly acceptable to drink water or a Coke or anything, even during a physical meeting. So that's kind of like the internal rule that I use.
Thank you, Marco. I was really thirsty. Yeah, my mouth was dry.
And I'm on one call a week, and it's called a lean happy hour, and we're expected to have a mug of beer.
I like that meeting, Dave.
And several of the meetings I go on are called coffees. So there's a lean coffee break, and that's with AME. And AME you're expected to, drink some coffee. So, there's informal ones that you're expected to actually bring a beverage.
I like that. I like that. I'm gonna write that one down, Dave. Really important. Now, since we're limited of time, and look, the phone conversation is already 7:40, and I wanted to cover a couple of topics, but hey, let's make the most out of it. I have another question. Okay, the video thing, I think we discussed it a lot. Maybe we have our own conclusions. I'll give a little summary at the end, but let's see at the end the summary helps us out. But I have another question because we're experiencing it right now, right? When I'm in a business meeting and there's 6, 7 people involved, sometimes I find it very uncomfortable when people just talk over the other one, but it's manageable. At a certain point, you could quiet everybody down. How should we go about that participation in that interaction where there's a lot of people in the screen? Like right now, for example, Michael might be raising his hand and I might not see him. And should it be right for him to just jump in? Or should it be wait? Or should there be some type of organization and pointing out the different people that should be participating in the meeting? Or for example, if there's somebody that you want more participation out of, is it right to call on that person? Or should you just leave it open for everybody to talk? Or there should be certain rules? Based on your experience that you guys been, which do you guys think is the best method? And see, right now, I'm puzzled because should I go to somebody to just say like, Kim, what do you think? Or should I wait for somebody to participate? I mean, that's very interesting. Now, based on what I just did, well, Kim, what do you think?
For me personally, it's like pretty difficult to jump in when like you're in a video camera. I think like in person, it's easier for there to be like multiple conversations going on. So like, I guess that's like kind of difficult.
Exactly. And that was the point. If it was a presence, if it was a classroom with 20, 30 people, I don't have a problem with it. Because you could go to the person, you can walk, you could participate. Everybody raises their hand. It's very dynamic, just by the nature of being there. But right now, we're in a room, there's like 20 of us, 18 of us, and which should be the proper way to do it? Which should be the right way to go about it? For example, Sabrina, any ideas? Or any recommendations?
I don't think Sabrina can talk now.
Okay, then Michael had his hand raised. What should be like the rule? How should we go about the participation of the people? How could somebody notice to jump in?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting question. What I've seen some people do recently is they start their meeting with a Zoom etiquette. So basically, you are setting the expectations for how your audience should respond, right? It also tells them some good things like never using a laptop on an airplane. So I don't know, what country you're flying over, Maria, in that Spirit airplane. No, I'm kidding. But you just tell them up front, here's how we're going to do this. If you want to speak, there's a raise hand button, and it clearly shows on my screen, and it will shuffle me to the top of the participants list, so that the speaker can easily see it. And you can also directly chat with someone privately or whatever. So I think if you just set those expectations up front at the beginning, it doesn't mean everyone will follow them, and there's some people that'll come in late, but it kind of sets the tone for how you want people to interact with you.
Now, a question, Michael, because that's an excellent point. We do that in our meetings. We set like the ground rules for the meeting, right?
Right.
Who should be setting those meetings when we're on Zoom? Who should be setting? Should it be just led by somebody, the main instructor, saying these are the rules? Or should it be something that'll be generated by the participants of the meeting?
Yeah, I think, like when I do some training workshops, I pretty much just say it up front. But I always ask the question at the end, is there anything that we're leaving out? Should we add anything to this? When I do live stuff, like a Kaizen event up front, where it's going to be a week long, we go through a whole set of expectations and we write them up on the wall. And it's great because then you get the whole team engaged and they commit to it, right? So they're like, all right, we're going to be here in person. We're only going to use our laptop during these times. We're going to keep the phones away. They're coming up with these ideas, so they buy into it. It makes it a lot better. So I think you just evaluate the meeting and what you're really going for, how much time you have to give to it.
Perfect. What do you guys think? I like the idea. That's something that I think is very important. What do you guys think about it? Like having like a Zoom day, Zoom rules. Dave had a comment. No?
Yes, I did. You know, just like Michael said, when you use Kaizen events, everyone, they can be set by the host, and it's important to have a producer. So it's, you have a wingman that's watching the screen, watching the chat, watching the participants, looking for hands raised, picking up those cues. So you don't have to spend your time, but they can tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, Michael's got a question or something. But the ground rules is important. And while you can set the ground rules, the participants should agree to them. So they can, you can say, does everybody agree with the ground rules? Raise your hand. Give me a red X or a green check mark or a red X if you don't agree. Does anybody want to add anything to the ground rules? Okay, now does everybody agree? So they're set and you've had buy-in from everybody. So that's, you know, you don't start with a blank slate and everybody gives you a ground rule. You start with what you think are the consensus ground rules, and then you get agreement and you add to them if necessary.
Perfect. Perfect.
And I got Chris talking about the use of chat.
Oh, we said that we have also Chris talking about the use of chat, of the chat feature within Zoom. Have you guys used it before? Chris, how does it work? What do you guys think of it? Yes, Chris?
Is trying to find
Muted. He's trying to find the mute. No?
Here
Oh,
I am.
Oh, there you go.
I find quite often in a lot of presentations, the person who is trying to control the presentation is using chat for questions, for inputs, for commentaries. And I think that's a very, very good way of doing it, because then you can cue them and at the appropriate time address them.
Perfect.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And how easy is it when you don't have a producer or facilitator to support it? How easy is it
to manage?
It's more difficult. It's more difficult.
Any tips on that?
I would like to have, whenever that happens, I would like to have somebody monitoring that for me and helping me with that. So it's almost a two-man job.
Perfect. All right.
I
So
know when I taught my class, I had to have 2 computers on because I didn't have anybody to help me. And I had 20 students. And so I had to literally have my laptop and my desktop. And I used my laptop just to be able to kind of pivot and look and see what if any of the students were in the chat room.
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have on the primary screen, the one that was in the direction of the camera, did you have the class, everybody's icon on there? Or did you have it on the secondary?
I had it on the secondary because I just shared my screen on the primary.
Okay, that's curious. I prefer the other way, where I can see everybody and I can jump from person to person and I can see their reactions, if possible.
perfect. Lisa.
So I would like to add with what Jennifer said. I did not have nobody to help me when I was running those calls. And I had 16 people on the call that I was training. But what we did is when we realized that we had to do this, and I happened to work for the IT department of the company, we put together a studio with all the toys, all like a different set of laptops so that I could go into the breakout rooms with all the different teams, like a switchboard that could help me switch between either the PowerPoint or the whiteboard for me to write notes on it and communicate with the people. And I forgot the other one. But the thing is, they put a wonderful setup together that I didn't not need nobody to help me. I was able to handle everything, not without even moving. Probably you could think that these were people that know lean and having everything at the point of use without wasted motion.
Great. No, guys, it's already this has been a great session. It's already 7:52. So in about 3 minutes, Johnny's gonna do a little summary. So if there's any other topics that we haven't explored on this chat and that you feel would be great, it would be a good add-on for the conversation, now is the good time.
All right. Perfect. Well, if anybody has any questions, please let us know. But look, I think in this hour, at least personally, it's been very informative. I learned a lot. I learned a lot of things and bites and things that I'm going to start using in my meeting tomorrow. There will be. So a couple of things that I learned. The first one. First, you need to know your equipment and the tool that you're using. I mean, I understood that, Jennifer, that training that you got about the tool was very helpful. Know the features, know everything. So it's important to know the tool that you're using to do the video conferencing. So that's one thing that I learned. The other thing is that it should be a team of 2 people. It's very helpful when you have 2 people working. Maybe one person in charge of the material and delivering the material of the training, and another person taking care of the parts around that training, right? The technology, all the different things that can happen. The other thing was the camera. The camera, which is the big topic of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we reached the consensus, what I took out of it is, at least during the business meetings, and if a scheduled meeting has already been done, and we should have the video camera on, we get a lot of benefits from it. They should be short meetings, maybe max 1 hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and we should be able to have the camera on. It'll be very beneficial because we get a lot of feedback from it. Now, if it's a training course and somebody said after hours, and it's something a little bit, more flexible, I think you don't need to have the camera on. If the person has the choice to not have it, they can take that right and say, I'm in a private moment. I don't really want to share my camera, but I'm listening to everything that's going on. The other thing that I see is that, and it's very interesting, I don't remember who said it. I think it was Dave or Chris, that the video should not dominate the conversation. What you're going to have, if it's especially a training session, you're going to have a presentation or something on the screen, but at the same time, it becomes very difficult to handle or manage the people on the screen and the video. But if you have help, they could help you with that while you focus on the content. The other one that I thought it was very important that Michael told us is to have the ground rules or the Zoom etiquette, right? Before you actually start, have it set up so everybody could understand which is the way we're going to be working. So I like that very much. So before our next meeting, I'm going to have a couple of minutes and say, okay, the ground rules for this session is going to be this, this, and this, and this. And then we'll go with
a comment about that.
Yes, sir. Yes, Michael.
And Coach Foss and Dave, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that what you're saying could be more generalized to giving people an expectation. Mm-hmm. For example, you might be in a meeting with someone from a different company that might not set the ground rules at the beginning. So for example, I said I have a comment. If you wanted to continue your review or your summary, you could have said, Michael, give me 1 second. I want to finish this review. You have a nice understanding of what I'm going to say so that you know how to react to it, or you can let that happen. So giving people an idea of what's going to happen before it does, I think would make the meetings go a lot
excellent. Like telling the story as you go. Okay, we're going to be doing this, 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 and introducing each section to the conversation.
Right.
Okay. They just informed we got 3 people on chat.
Yeah, one talking about muting when you're not speaking.
Okay.
The other talking about the nice background.
Okay.
And asking about the next meeting. When and what topic.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing. Well, before I like those comments. We're gonna keep them there. And the other thing that I have is the use of multiple equipment. One of the things that we've learned here is that the video conferences, or with or without video, are becoming almost a production effort. I mean, it's like sometimes I'm in a meeting or in a training and I feel like it's a podcast, or to have some of those rules, right? Because, for example, when you have blank spaces in our conversations or in our meeting, does it feel weird? Does it feel like something's not happening? Because that's the perception that I get. When there's a lot of silence or somebody stops talking and there's a like 3 or 4 second silence, it's like, okay, something's wrong. Something was not planned. So I think that's what I think. Sometimes these video conferences become like a radio show or like a TV production, where Maria Carolina went through, right? When she went into the studio and had all these tools, equipment, lighting. But I think it's very helpful for delivering that training course, correct? So you know, that's the thing I said. I mean, for what I've learned today, when you're going to do it, it requires a special setup for whatever it is that you're going to be doing. If you're going to have a meeting within your team, very intimate, but it requires certain rules. When it's a big group and it's like a training course and we require certain participation or inputs or feedback, then it should be another rules that apply, right? So basically, that's what I got from this conversation. I thought it was a lot. Hopefully I could come back and we're gonna keep discussing more. Maria Carolina?
Johnny, yes, Sabrina has a comment here. I'm gonna read it for her. She says, at my job, we use WebEx. So if there is no engagement, I will use the participant list and call on people. Engagement, I think, is a struggle. So having breaks and fun time is crucial. Some people have gone to extreme lengths as to pay a zoo to have an animal tune into the meeting for the first 5 minutes as a way to engage and make it fun. Starting a Zoom meeting with trivia was another way to engage team members.
Who wrote that?
Sabrina Núñez.
Thank you very much, because I think that's one of the topics that we've been struggling with, is how to provide that same entertainment. I mean, when we're live and we're there on site, I mean, the possibilities are endless. There's many activities you can do. See, Dave? But I think that's a topic that we should consider. And I really would like to know, you know, what you guys think about it. But right now, I mean, one of the secret, or one of the laws that we have in our meetings is that every meeting that starts on time should finish on time. So it's 8 o'clock. But I think this is an excellent topic, and that's something that we should have a conversation about.
Okay, Dave, what is that?
That's Krusty the Clown, I think.
Okay.
Right. So,
Krusty,
on my behalf, thank you very much.
And this is Eeyore.
Yeah, I might not knew that one.
Winnie the Pooh.
Well, just wanted to say thank you very much for your participation. One thing that I liked is this is one of the meetings where I have more participation from the other side. So that was great. And maybe we have some other opportunity. We could go in and talk about that specific part of entertainment and engagement that I think is something that, I mean, I have a lot of questions about and ways to go about it. Okay? So for now, thank you very much for the attention. And it was a great session.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for agreeing to talk to the group. And before we disconnect, I know we had a wonderful discussion. Dave wants to have some fun. Dave is ready for the entertainment. I can see that.
We need it.
Look at that.
We need it.
I know we talked about having the camera on or off, but I'm gonna ask you for something. It's just me asking you. Again, you don't have to, but I'm gonna ask you. Everybody that have their camera off, can you turn it off at least for 5 seconds so that we take a screenshot and showcase how many people joined and how many people are getting a benefit of this great conversation online. And I know that Dave wants to be in the screenshot with those. So I'm gonna do a quick screenshot here. And if I can ask you, nice to see all of you that I hadn't seen before. Nice to see Brett, Charbel, Abdullah, or I don't know how to say your name, I'm sorry. Ivan, thanks for joining. Oh, now look, he's removing the glasses to look better in the picture. I'm gonna join you and I'm gonna take my glasses off. So hold on, give me 1 second. Let me set this up. So in 3, look at the camera and give me your best smile, okay? So 3, 2, 1. Okay, and what? No, before we go, like, I don't know, some of you, oh my goodness, look at this. Brett, you did this before time. This was supposed to be the next picture. I usually do this every meeting that we have. One picture is with the serious face, and then one picture is with the crazy face. I mean, that's where the entertainment part comes in. So come on, guys, give me your craziest face now. On 1, 2.
That's my crazy.
All right. Johnny, that's not your craziest face.
That's as crazy as it's gonna get for now.
Come on. So thank you everybody for joining. We're gonna be sending you a survey for you to tell us, how did you like this? Did you find this hour that you spent with us valuable? Did you enjoy it? Would you like to join us again? No, as industrial engineers.
Yes.
We are the people that want to know what's the voice of the customer. I can't satisfy you going forward if you don't talk to us. So I invite you to take a look at that survey that we will send and give us some feedback for us to serve you better. And with that note, I'd like to leave you and wish you a good night. And thanks for joining us.
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.
All right, guys. Have a good night. God bless you.